But as much as you want to think the last night was about Strasburg or Verlander or Bregman or Soto, you're wrong. Because here comes Samuel Woodford Holbrook, and he's about to yank the entire spotlight for himself. Because the only thing worse than knowing an umpire's name is knowing an umpire's government. And if I'm doing that, you know there's a damn good reason. A damn good chance that someone in blue made a potential World Series changing mistake. Top of the 7th, runner on first. Brad Peacock pitching for Houston. Trey Turner at the plate. Roll it. Man, roll the hell out of this.
First pitch to Turner. And a full swing and a dribbler up the third base side. This is going to be a tough chance. Peacock hurries his throw, and the ball gets away. The ball through Gurriel down the right field line. Gomes is going to head for third and Turner to second as Gurriel's glove got knocked off, and they're going to call Turner out for being out of the baseline.
Oh, my.
So instead of second and third, they're going to send Gomes back to first, and Turner is out for being out of the baseline. And Davey Martinez is livid at Sam Holbrook.
Turner sprints down the line. He gets to first as the ball is coming in. It gets away from Gurriel at first. He goes to second. Yan Gomes goes to third. Suddenly, the Nats are cooking. Runners on second and third. Nobody out. Except that's not what happened because the home plate umpire, Sam Holbrook, called Turner out for runner interference. He went Rule 509A11 on everybody. Turner is out. Gomes goes back to first. Hell yes. That's awesome. How very umpire of them. I know you were enjoying this game between the two teams, but what about us? What about the umps? Are you paying and watching to see players play? Or are you there to see the umps ump? Am I right? So, it was time for the umps to take over, and they did. And Nationals manager Dave Martinez was raging, and so were a number of baseball players on Twitter. Quickly, on Twitter, Jake Arrieta, quote, "That is an absolutely awful call. What are we doing?" Travis Shaw on Twitter, "Dumbest rule in Major League Baseball. Absolutely no reason for that to be called ever." Delano DeShields on Twitter, "You can't make that call in the World Series. The ball took the first baseman off the base." Gaucho Michael Young on Twitter, "That is a complete and total embarrassment." Gaucho's right. It was a complete and total embarrassment. But if there's one thing you can bet on, it's the fact that the umpires will make complete and total embarrassments of themselves. It's their brand. Like, what was Turner supposed to do in that situation? Where was he supposed to go? What did he even do wrong? And yes, I know it's a judgment call, and judgment calls are not reviewable, and that it's a rule. Except it's a bad rule. In fact, it's possibly the worst rule, and it's a rule that should have been changed a long time ago. So it does not turn into a controversial moment in Game 6 of the World Series, like it just did. You know, the argument would be that Turner was inside the baseline, but the base itself is inside the baseline. The shortest route to the base is running directly at it, which is inside the baseline. And then the Nats would tell you the only reason why Turner ran into Gurriel's glove and was hit by the ball was because the throw was bad. And wasn't Turner already on first base when he hit the glove? So where was the guy supposed to be? And Dave Martinez was raging. Man, I can't even get through the entire open. I have so much to say about that. All right, so I will finish that thought momentarily. Yes, he got kicked out of the game. No, a manager should never get kicked out of a World Series game. But can you blame this guy for reacting the way he did? And even worse, Joe Torre had the best seat in the entire house and did nothing. And that's his job. So I will get to all of that. This much I do know. We have ourselves a Game 7. We've got a Game 7. And that was an amazing game last night. All right, so going back to Game 6, and I did not finish my thoughts on that in the open, but I'm looking for your reaction. Like I said, the umpires, it's almost like they were just sitting around like, no one's talking about us. Do you tune in to see the players play, or do you tune in to see the umps ump? And then right around the 7th, the umps started to ump. And one more thing about that. Worse still to me, when that all went down last night, Joe Torre, the guy who's in charge of umpires and rules, was not in New York, but rather he was at the game. He was there. Best seat in the house when the incident went down. He saw the entire thing. If anybody could straighten this whole thing out, it's larger than life, holier than thou, perfect Joe Torre, right? Wrong. Apparently, Torre really didn't want anything to do with it. And Trey Turner could not believe what he was saying because he saw Torre and was pointing him out to the umps.
The umpires here and those back in New York. And you can see what Trey Turner's saying. Joe Torre is right here. Just ask him.
Joe Torre's the umpires right there. And he's sitting with his head down, trying not to look up.
That's Fox. Can you make out what Trey said? He's sitting and talking about Torre. Trey Turner said he's sitting with his head down, trying not to look up. What an absolutely perfect line. And I can't say that I'm shocked that Turner caught him trying to keep his head down. I'm not sure what Torre was doing, but it sure doesn't sound like he was looking to help. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah. You're the guy. You're right there. It happened right under your nose. You've got nothing to say? You're not going to do anything? What are they paying you to do then? So I'll get to what happened right after the call in a moment because that deserves its own take. But in between innings, the umpires took a bad situation and then they made it even worse by ejecting Davey Martinez. I do understand the argument that a manager should never get thrown out of a World Series game. The Martinez has got to keep his head and cannot get thrown out of that game. But this guy was raging. Yeah, I know, he was raging and needed to be held back. I understand that. But when you consider the fact that it was in the middle of the seventh inning stretch and Take Me Out to the Ball Game was playing in the background, it's even more insane that they ran him when they ran him. And Martinez was understandably upset. But that's on the umps to calm that situation down. I don't know what they said to him, but it sure didn't look like it was, hey, that was a judgment call. We're sorry you can't review it. That one's on us, Skip. No, I don't think that's what they said. They were bringing kerosene to that fire, like they do every fire. As Gaucho Michael Young tweeted, throwing Dave out there is garbage.
Garbage.
This is the World Series. Emotions can, should, and will run high. Any decent umpire should turn around and walk away. Simple. End quote. Right. The Gaucho's always right, Michael Young. And the next fight that an ump walks away from will be the first. There are a lot of red asses in baseball, but there aren't too many asses redder than an umpire's. If they can get into a fight, they will. If they can make it about themselves, they will. And remember this isn't some hack crew of guys that they just happen to throw together. These are supposedly the best of the best umpires. Which leads me to my final thought. Is there any way we can boot up the robots in time for Game 7? Because when we're talking about a world championship, the last thing we want to be talking about are the umpires. Yet that was the first thing that we were talking about late last night. And the absolutely last thing that we want to be talking about tonight. That better not happen tonight. It's like one game after Lance Barksdale let the world feel his presence. Samuel Woodford Holbrook said, "Hold my beer, buddy. Hold my beer. Watch this." Hey, Rome, we know the Houston Good Luck Charms were attached to the chests of a couple of now banned women. But please, for the love of God, Houston, do not try to recreate that mojo at home tonight. We don't need to see that from one of your fans unless it's Kate Upton. There will be children watching. Save us from being blinded. Thanks. Signed All of America. John in Huntington Beach wore this Game 7, being the first Game 7 to have two complete psychos start on the mound. Man, I wonder about Max Scherzer. I mean, how does anybody have any idea what this guy has? How much can he give them? couple of days ago, he couldn't lift his arm. In the time since, all we know is that he took the spike, got a shot of cortisone, had a couple of chiropractic treatments. But again, we're talking about a nerve issue. We're not talking about a guy who slept the wrong way, slept on his arm, tweaked his neck in the middle of the night, tweaked his neck on an airplane ride. We're talking about a guy with a nerve issue. But then again, he said he's good to go. He got loose last night. He was in the bullpen last night and said that he felt good. They need him to feel good, because if Houston can get to him and then get into that bullpen where those arsonists are standing by, it's not going to be a good thing for the Nats.
I've pitched through so much crap in my career.
Hey, Rome, we carried our bats around our co-workers too. Signed, Sir Paul and John Lennon. Mitch from Buffalo. Wore Juan Soto's homer, still being in the sky with diamonds. My only disappointment with Alex Bregman carrying the bat with him to first base is that Alex Bregman apologized for carrying the bat with him to first base. Alex, apology not accepted. You didn't do anything wrong. And again, I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't care who wins. If he or Juan Soto or Rendon or Correa or Altuve or any of them hits a big home run in Game 7, I don't care if they carry that bat all the way around the bases, jump on home plate, and then break it over their knee. In fact, it'd be the best thing ever.